Hello, happy Saturday. We have our Saturday food support group, and we just get together every Saturday to talk about food and talk about this experience. There is one book in my many books in my library, and this is by Dr. Joan Ifland. And this is called Processed Food Addiction by Joan Ifland. And it is literally a textbook. There are no, you can't see, but there are no pictures. There aren't even graphs in this book. It is intense. But one of the things that I love that Dr. Ifland talks about is mirror neurons. And we have these mirror neurons, and they are what has gotten us in so much trouble. But the really cool part is our mirror neurons are what can get us out of that trouble. Basically, the way that, and this is just my layman's terms, this is not my textbook answer. This is the way that I understand it, is that we do what we see. And what we see all around us is sugar and processed foods. And that's what's been pushed in our society, in our culture, in our family, and in our vision. All we see is sugar and processed foods. All it takes is one trip to the grocery store right now, and you are inundated with Christmas cookies and Christmas cakes and Christmas cupcakes and snacks and everything. So it is literally everywhere. And so those mirror neurons are what are telling our brain, this is your culture. This is what you do. It's Christmas. It's your birthday. It's St. Patrick's Day. This is what you do. And so what we can do is we can get really intentional about what our mirror neurons see. And so coming to this meeting is retraining, rewiring those mirror neurons. When they are looking at this screen right now, and they are looking at this circle of people, your brain is going, oh, that's my tribe. This is what we do. We don't eat sugar and processed foods. We recognize that those are poisoning us and that there are toxins in every single thing. Every single thing that has sugar and processed foods is toxins. And so coming to a group like this and really not only, even if you don't speak, even if you just keep your camera off and you keep on mute and you don't talk, but you're looking at this screen and you're seeing all these faces of people saying, I eat whatever, I eat low carb, I eat low sugar, I eat, fatty meat, I eat eggs, I eat cheese, I eat dairy, whatever you're hearing, that is going to literally reshape and rewire your brain to go, oh, these are my people. This is what we do. And then it becomes a non-negotiable. And then you look and you sit there and you see that, Christmas cookie and you're like, yeah, we don't eat that. We just don't. It's just not part of our thing. It's just not us. And so this becomes your tribe. So I just wanted to thank you guys so much for being part of my tribe and coming here every Saturday to reinforce those mirror neurons in the right direction. And it's a process, and it's something that we need to do on a regular basis, because sometimes we don't have people in our own family, or definitely in our own communities, that eat this way. All right. So first, I would like to start with Chris. Chris, you wanted to update us on some new foods that you're able to have.
Yeah. So first update is I believe it's 13 days today, caffeine free. I quit coffee officially with the help of raw liver.
Wow.
Yep, I was able to try some raw grass-fed liver, and I loved it. The first time I tried it, it was different. That was the first raw animal food I'd ever eaten, and I was kind of nervous about it because, as you know, we're taught to never do that.
Yeah.
But I, after I tried one or two pieces, I got a nice boost of energy. It was amazing, natural energy. And I ate it for a few days, and I was able to just detox off of the caffeine that easily. And we're talking about a 30-year, 3 cup a day habit. I mean, I don't even know who I am outside of caffeine. Like, I've been drinking caffeine since I was a kid. So I had about an hour of discomfort. I had a little bit of headache, and I just kept knocking back the raw liver, just swallowing it, little pieces of it with water or raw milk. And now it's already been over 2 weeks, no caffeine, and I feel so much better. Mornings are different because my routine is different now. I don't wake up and have coffee and then, my stomach starts to hurt. So it's a good different. I'm still just trying to adapt to it because that was such a part of my life. But I'm thankful that it's beyond me now, and I can't even stand the smell of it anymore. So yeah, the organ meats are like a game changer. I got to try some oysters too, and I just felt so good afterward. And I got some really nice natural energy boosting, which I was surprised. I didn't think that was even a thing. So yeah, it definitely changed me as a person, I think, eating the raw meat. I actually, I have an order coming of some assorted meats from a farm. And I ordered thyroid and ovaries, which I'll consume those raw too. And now I've been cooking my food a lot less. I don't know. It's like I got bitten by the raw meat bug. I got to try the raw suet. Oh, like how you have it, Emily. Oh, that's amazing. It's a game changer because it's better on my gut. I can't do the rendered fat. It just, I can't do it. But raw from a good source, it's amazing. I get instant energy from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very thankful to be here and to be learning from other carnivores that get it. And it makes me feel like I have somewhere that I belong because, like you just said, it, especially with it Christmas and it's raining sugar right now, like everyone's running around in a sugar stupor and I'm just sitting here like I can't relate. So it's just nice to be able to be here and just talk about eating good, nutrient dense foods. And it's just helping me get better and better. I swear, like you said, it gets better by the day. It's almost unbelievable.
It really is. And Andia says, did you eat the liver frozen, like a little pill, like you just swallowed it?
No, just fresh. Just fresh.
Was it like a tiny piece to like just swallow it?
No, I chewed it. It was like a little cube. The first time I tried it, I just bit it right off of a big piece. I just bit it off and I chewed it to get the full effect. And then, yeah, the next day, the next few days after, I just swallowed little pieces of it, fresh, not frozen, and it went down really nice. I tried some other raw organs too, brain, testicle, and one other one I can't remember, but oh man, how I felt amazing. Like within 10 minutes, I had this energy that was otherworldly. I even had the dog try it and she was really happy too.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, it was like an instant mood boost.
Well, and I'm so curious about this because most people would say that I'm goals, that I'm like one of the most, strict, hardcore, whatever carnivores, because I've eaten raw for 3 years, raw fat, raw meat, and I cannot tolerate liver. I get one little, like tiny little square of it, and I'm like, uh, I'm like gagging. And so, but then I talk to other people who they can literally just eat it cooked, they can eat it raw, and it's not an issue for them at all. Like they're fine with the flavor. My father eats it cooked and he's totally fine. He'll put it in a pate and he's totally fine. I don't know what it is. And so I'm really curious about this, to see if maybe if I tried it like frozen like a pill and I just swallowed it without even tasting it, maybe I would get a tolerance to it. But I'm so inspired by this, Chris.
Yeah, I am. I just want to get better. I'm so sick and tired of being sick. So I've had to really think and open my mind that maybe this is a possibility for me, that I could maybe boost my health even more. And I did, because, energy doesn't lie. And I felt and looked visibly brighter after consuming, raw organs. And I just had to trust it. I mean, I don't think I could get any sicker than I've been. So I just had to open my mind. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I actually tried to order some yesterday and the place I ordered from is out. So I went to the grocery store and because I was so desperate, I did cook that, but I will say I did eat a small piece of it raw, which I don't recommend, but I was craving it that much. It must be that I was lacking in those particular vitamins. I mean, so I must have needed it. And the oysters too. I have a selenium deficiency. So, I just feel like I'm getting better nutrition, and I'm doing the raw milk now. And I learned the hard way with that you don't, you don't drink it fast and you don't drink it cold, at least not for me. I got too ahead of myself. I have to let it sit out and just sip it.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Andia says, do you have a farmer's market that you can stock up on?
No, I got this online from Frankie's. I forget the whole name of it, but I ordered this online. Frankie's Meat Market or something like that.
Yeah.
So, no, there's nothing around here. There is one place called Foodworks that sells the raw milk. They get it in on Wednesdays. So I can access raw milk there. And then, Frankie's Free Range Meats online.
Yeah, that's it.
And then it took off from there. Now my son and I are going to go to East Lyme. There's a farm over there. It turns out there's a lot of different farms in Connecticut. It's like this trickle effect now that I just want to get better food. And I also noticed that I can afford it because the higher quality food, the less I need to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I find, because the food is so satisfying and I get so much more energy that I don't really need a whole lot of food. So I'm just letting it all happen. I'm just so thankful to be off of caffeine before 2023. I said that was my big goal for this year, that I was not doing this again with the caffeine. And so I am beyond thankful. My gut is so much better already.
Yeah, that was my problem with the caffeine was digestion.
Yep.
I mean, it just the acidity of the coffee just wrecked me. And so my body was so thankful whenever I quit.
My body is too. My mind is still messing with me though.
Yeah.
I am still craving it a little bit, but we're talking a 30-year habit. It's not going to be that smooth sailing, but I have no desire to go back to it as long as I keep my nutrition on point, which I have.
Yeah. And Andia says, pay your farmer now or pay the doctor later.
I'm really starting to see that, especially after what happened with the most recent thing with my ear. I think that too really woke me up to another level where I really need to start paying closer attention to my food and my nutrition. Like you said, there's like levels to this, and now I'm on another level, and I couldn't be more grateful. Our farmers really deserve our support, not the supermarket.
Yeah. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for that and for updating us. That's incredible. And I'll have to send you some messages. I will try some frozen liver pills. Like not liver pills, but like
Yep.
I'll try and swallow it as a pill.
I think you
Uh,
can.
I think I can. And you've definitely encouraged me. And you've definitely encouraged me. Go ahead, Tom.
Good.
I was just going to say the difference between last week and this week with Chris is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, you can tell a huge difference in you,
It's
Chris.
like a different person, really.
That's awesome.
Looking good, Chris.
Yes. Looking full of life and just overcoming. Vicky says, does the liver taste different raw than cooked? Yeah, I definitely think so.
Oh, like it's like night and day. Because I had it cooked after that. I prefer it raw. It tastes so fresh and full of life, and cooked, it's like rubbery and just not as good, in my opinion. So yeah, there is a difference. I love the raw. I can't wait to get more. I'm excited. It's good raw.
Awesome. Awesome. And Raymond, you had some questions or some struggles that you wanted to share with the group? Oh, you're muted. I just asked you to unmute. Sorry.
That work?
There you go.
I've been on the carnivore diet for 5 months, and or I was on it for 5 months, and I didn't have any success at all with it. And matter of fact, I had low energy. I had terrible constipation, and I gained weight. Gained about 15, 20 pounds. And I was eating strictly carnivore, nothing but eggs, ground beef, pork, bacon, sardines, butter. And then I even cut back on some of that, in that I just wound up eating eggs and ground beef, and cut out the pork and the bacon. And nothing changed. I actually felt worse on it. Before carnivore, I didn't have a weight problem. I was a runner, but then I messed up my knees. So I went up to about 260 pounds, and over a 2-year period, by counting calories and eating sandwiches, I got down to like 175. And then I wanted to lose like that last 10 or 15 pounds. And that's when I went on carnivore. And it just wrecked me. So what I've been doing now is not much, but staying basically meat-based. And I'll eat like a bag of mixed vegetables a day, because the biggest problem was the constipation. I even went to a gastroenterologist about it, and he said there was nothing wrong with me. Just eat prunes or change your diet. So I eat the mixed vegetables. I still eat ground beef, eggs. I don't like binge on cupcakes, and I don't have those problems. But now I'm up to like almost 200 pounds. So, I've tried leaner meat. I've gone back to the fatter meats. So I'm really thinking that I went to a couple of nutritionists, 1 or 2 online, and their answer basically was like, spend a couple of $100 a month on supplements, which, I'm not going to do that. Or they basically said that carnivore isn't for everyone. So right now, I'm in a search mode, really. I don't think carnivore, strict carnivore anyway, is going to work for me for whatever reason. I know it works for some people and they have all these miraculous results, but that's not been my experience. I mean, I used to go to the gym. I stopped doing that because I just don't have the energy to do that. There's nothing wrong with me physically. I don't have any autoimmune diseases. I don't have and anything to cure. Okay, so right now I saw this group last week and I listened to it and I figured, I just throw it out there and see what you have to say. If anything, you may not, because I've been in other carnivore groups and a lot of them have accused me of being a bot. They say, no, you're a vegetarian trying to, screw us up. And, so some of these groups are actually like religions and, you got to be really careful. They burn you at the stake. So anyway.
Pardon the
Yeah.
pun.
Yeah. But let me just say that you are welcome, and that your questions are welcome, and that your unique one and only experience is welcome. Everyone is different. And I don't get the feeling from you that you are a bot or that you are a vegan activist, trying to thwart anything. I think it's important that we have these conversations and that we have them, out loud, because there might be somebody else who's going through this who says, I did this wrong, or, I'm broken. This didn't work for me. So I just want to commend you for being brave to come to this meeting, and to share your genuine experience and story. The only thing that I would have to add is a question. Whenever you are eating foods, what foods, when you eat them, does your body give you that signal? Yes, this is what we need.
I like eating chopped meat. I'm not a food person. I mean, I'd be happy if I never had to eat.
Yeah,
To me, it's a waste of time.
me too. That's why I eat the way I do.
Yeah, and it's like I've seen people rave about restaurants or talk about food. It's like I could care less. Let's talk about cars or something else. But so I like meat.
So do you get like a visceral response though, where your body's like, thank you. Like, this is the nutrients that we needed. Do you get any kind of a response?
No, not really. And I don't with anything. I mean, even when my whole life really has, been non-food related. I mean, I don't cook. My wife doesn't cook. I grew up on TV dinners. That was what I would eat. I mean, whatever was simple that you could stick in a microwave or an oven or whatever. Sitting around thinking about what we're going to eat, or, oh wow, I can't wait for that Thanksgiving turkey. It just wasn't an issue for me. I think that cutting out all the processed foods and sugars was a major thing. when I was a runner, I could eat whatever I wanted. I mean, I was like, you know, I was always thin. I was 130 pounds when I was in my 20s. And when I was running, I was like 160. So I could eat whatever I wanted. But I did see once I stopped running that I would get sugar cravings. And then the more I learned about processed foods, when I cut out all the sugars and processed foods, all the cravings stopped. I never had like I wanted a piece of cake or a cupcake or something like that. But aside from that, food is it's a pain, really.
Yeah. I relate. I totally relate. And I know that it frustrates some people who do have, you know, a food addiction and who do love food. I mean, I used to be that person. I used to be addicted to sugar and processed foods. And then once I broke the addiction, now I'm just annoyed that I have to eat. I'm annoyed to be a human. And so that's why I eat the way that I eat. I eat everything raw and frozen from the farm. And then I just measure out what I know I need for my nutrients every day. And then I eat it between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. and then I'm done for the day. You know, maybe go to my YouTube channel and try and find that video where I do that. That might be a good option for you. But like you said, if you're having constipation, you might need to throw in some vegetables into that. What is it that you are wanting? You're just wanting to lose weight?
Yeah, well, basically lose weight and get my energy back. And that's the big difference that I noticed eating this way is that I don't do anything. I mean, I'm become very sedentary, and you know, I did hurt my leg a little bit, but aside from that, you know, I just spend a lot of time reading or on the internet or watching movies and stuff like that, where I was a lot more active before, and that was losing all that weight. I did it with sandwiches. I mean, I was buying whole wheat bread and you know, eating things like tuna fish, eggs, you know, not high fat stuff. But and what happened with that was I lost from 60 to 175 in a 2-year period. And then for a 4-year period, I just stayed between 175 and 185, back and forth. So my metabolism adjusted, and that was no longer working for me. And what would happen would be I'd eat that 1,500 calories a day, and then, yeah, I would then go on a binge, maybe go out and buy a quart of ice cream and eat that. So I was addicted to sugar and carbs from doing that way of eating. And I wasn't eating any fatty meats during that period. So then when I went to Carnivore strictly for the 5 months, I felt worse and gained weight. And you know, that was in March of 22. So now it's December, and it's only I'm eating relatively much the same way, except that I added the vegetables in, and you know, I'm taking laxatives once or twice a week, you know, just to keep things moving, because that was the worst part. I mean, I thought I was going to die the constipation was so bad. So and that it really scared me because
Yeah.
it was on the point where it was starting to get impacted. And I said, this is crazy. This diet's going to kill me.
Well, and I think it's important to have these conversations because I think so many people are given the message, just eat meat and just tough it out and just, keep eating meat and trust the process.
And I was trust the process, and you need to heal. And I was in groups like the steak and butter gal, that kind of thing. And they would tell you eat more fat. So I was adding gobs of butter on top of everything. It didn't help at all. And then I just said, this is not working. And I don't care what these people are saying. maybe there's one woman in that group. I mean, really nice woman. I forgot what her name is. But she's pretty heavy. And they've been telling her the same thing for 2 years. And she hasn't lost a pound. I mean, she has some autoimmune things that she's resolved. And that's why she keeps doing what she's doing. But, and then other people have said to me, well, this isn't a diet to lose weight. So maybe it's not. So if somebody wants to tell me that, I'm fine with that. I'll try and find something else.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that I do in Inner Clarity System, whenever I work with clients, is I have them follow their inner knowing. And I really believe that that's where the answers lie, that we're not meant to just go blindly believe Dr. So-and-so and this YouTube influencer who's showing their belly button and, this person who's saying it worked for me, it's going to work for you. You need to do exactly what I did. I think it's really important to have this conversation, not only with others, but then to have this conversation with yourself. Raymond, you've been on this earth for a while, so you know how to navigate life. And so you know how to find answers, you know how to research, you know how to experiment and do trial and error. And I believe that the foods that you need to eat that are the best for you. I really believe that. And I would challenge you to trust Raymond, to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One of the thoughts I had was to go back maybe to calorie counting, but with whole foods. And maybe, try and force myself to be more physically active and see what that does. I mean, one thing I did like, and you read all these things about insulin resistance and stuff, but just taking some zero sugar yogurt, plain yogurt, and putting fruit in it, frozen fruit. I like that. I mean, that was very satisfying. It's not that many calories, but according to everybody else, well, yeah, you're dumping fructose into your system, and then you're going to trigger insulin, and that's all going to turn to fat. And it's like, oh man, like for every idea you come up with, you say do research, but the research is scary because these guys out there like Sean Baker and the rest of them, it works for them, but I don't want to be a Sean Baker.
Yeah. Vicky, you had something you wanted to add?
Yes. Well, one of the things I wanted to bring up is that we're all different individuals and our body works differently. So what works for you may not work for me. And so we have to experiment and kind of play with this. For myself, I have a lot of autoimmune diseases that have been put into remission from eating carnivore, but I had to navigate through do I do lean meats? Do I do more protein? Do I do more fat? And just experiment with it. And I have to use an app to be able to put my foods in, to see what I'm eating, to do, try to, for myself, what works for me is to do about 85% to 90% fat versus 11% up to 15% protein. And that works for me. And so I've lost 136 pounds, and I suffered from constipation really, really bad, to where I cannot tell you how many times I had to go to the doctor because I had to have help. I went to colon hydrotherapy.
Was
and
this before carnivore?
This is before carnivore. And so it was a doctor, a keto doctor. Some of y'all might know who he is, Dr. Dr. Eric Berg.
Oh yeah.
He suggested that I go ketovore or carnivore, but of course he was leaning more toward the ketovore. I tried it and it didn't work, and I gave up and I got really kind of depressed. And then I tried joining some carnivore groups, and I got slammed for having mushrooms on my plate with my steak,
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah.
I gave up because I felt discouraged because of the attacks. And so then finally my husband helped me to get on track to try something new. And that's where I started binge watching Dr. Ken Berry. But then I got on Instagram and found Emily. And so, it's like, what works, like I said, for one person may not work for somebody else. For me, the more fiber I ate, the more constipated I would get. I have IBS, IBD, and Crohn's is 3 of the many different things that I have had. And so most people who start carnivore get diarrhea, not me. Within 12 days, I was using the bathroom like a normal person for the first time that I could ever remember. And so I just can't do any fiber whatsoever. And some people may need it. I mean, our bodies are not the same. And so, don't let yourself down. Don't put yourself down. Experiment, try to figure out, try for 30 days to do something different. If that's not working, move on, and don't look back and think, oh, I wasted 30 days. No, that doesn't work for you. Let's try something new. And like for myself, I have added more fat. I'm eating the raw fat. I don't post that on my Instagram a lot anymore because of the attacks from crazy people.
Yep.
And so I'll just post the other stuff, my steak and butter and, whatever else I have on there. But, and I've had people question, why do I cut my steak up and I weigh out the fat that's on the steak versus the steak itself. And, I'm doing that because I'm trying to keep my fat up, because I know that's how I feel better. And
What app were you using?
I tried using the app that a few people suggested, including Emily, and I couldn't figure it out. I guess I'm just, not smart enough. But My Fitness Pal is what I use, and it's what I've been using. And so that to me is more, I'm able to understand it better, to where the other one, I didn't quite get it. And plus, I have an old phone and didn't have the data storage on my phone to have 2 separate apps, so I had to choose one. And I keep mine set, like I said, at 15% protein versus 85% fat, and I try to actually go above that on the fat, but I just kind of wing it every day. And so, I mean, like today I had a ribeye, so I had like 5 ounces of ribeye, over 4 ounces of cooked fat, and then I had an ounce of frozen fat. And so, and then 4 tablespoons of butter. And I also ate some, I made my husband deviled eggs, and I ate just the inside parts because I can't eat egg whites. They cause me inflammation. So But like I said, everybody's different. You know, there's so many people. I look at a lot of people and they're able to eat the whole egg, you know, and, you know, sometimes it causes you to be a little envious. It's like, I wish I could do that. But, you know, you have to just keep trying and keep moving forward. I've gone and I've experimented for 2 days with whole eggs. I don't have the same really bad response that I used to have. It's gotten better. So then maybe a few months from now, I'll try it again. So you just experiment. Don't let people get you down. Don't bother with anyone calling you a bot. You know, just keep experimenting until you find what works for you.
Thank you, Vicki.
You're welcome.
All right. So anybody else that they wanted to throw in? Tom says, I would be interested to see what Ken Berry would say. Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I tried full carnivore a few times in the last, I think since August, and I would get like sort of like reflux in my throat. Like my stomach felt okay, but it just kind of felt like refluxy in my throat. And so I've been adding some vegetables and I felt a lot better since then.
Good.
But is that a sign that I should maybe try carnivore again, but do something different, or just keep the vegetables? Or I don't know.
Honestly, I really, I'm very, I don't ever tell people, yes, this is what you need to do, or no, this is not what you need to do. But I do say that it's really important to follow that inner clarity, that inner knowing, your personal experience, because nobody is inside of your body, Adam. Nobody knows what that feels like to have that acid reflux and then to have that relief of the acid reflux. And so I think it's really important for you to do your own experiment. And I believe that we are guided by that intuition and by that knowing to go, I should try this.
Right.
Tom,
and I think,
oh, go ahead.
I think some of it too is like hoping that the diet is going to take care of like things that are more like emotionally based, you know, because it seems like a lot of people are doing that. It's like they think diet is got to be responsible for everything, and it's a big part of our lives. And if you can make it a lot better, which the predominantly animal-based diet has for me, it does create that space so you can start to make other changes, but you still have to do the work. And you know, there's so many people that make it sound like it fixes everything, but that's probably a small percentage of the population.
Yeah, and it just depends because everybody does this differently, you know. And for me, I just jumped right in and I went high fat. I think I had a tablespoon of honey the first day, and I reported back to my brother and I said, hey, you know, I did this and this and this, and I had a tablespoon of honey. And he goes, why? And I was like, I don't know. And that was it. And so it's really hard to compare apples to oranges and people's different experience whenever they're like, I was carnivore and then I had a cake, you know, or I was carnivore and then I had a bag of chips and then I was carnivore the next week. And so it's really hard to say because it took me, I would say 30 to 45 days to experience that lift of the depression and the anxiety. But I was high fat and I was, you know, and I was doing what my body was telling me to do. I was getting a visceral response from my body when I would eat that fatty steak or whatever. And it was just like, yes, like this is what we need. And so that knowing, like you said, it's kind of tricky at the beginning because it's all muddled with the sugar and the processed foods. But as you can remove the sugar and the processed foods, you get more of that clarity. Tom, were you going to add something?
I was just going to say for Adam that it could be like I went straight carnivore like Emily did. I went cold turkey and I didn't have the sugar withdrawal that I thought I was going to have actually. So your situation may be that you had some withdrawal. I don't know if that causes a reflux, but doing keto is probably, to start off, is probably best for you, would be my guess.
Yeah, and it sounds like
Yeah.
that's kind of what you've done to incorporate the vegetables.
Yeah, well, I read what's her name, the GAPS lady, Natasha Campbell. I read her book, and so I started making these meat stocks with oxtail, which turned out to be my favorite one. And so I'd make a soup with ground beef and then some vegetables, and that seems to mostly have solved the issue of like the problem. And actually one day a little while ago I was having that really bad, and so I just ate what was on the table. Like there were some mashed potatoes and stuff, and so I just ate that and I felt fine the next day. So I don't know. I'm trying not to be too militant about this stuff anymore, and not assuming that like or being open to like there could be like an emotional thing, and I'm trying to solve it through diet. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Andia writes in the chat, totally right on, Adam. I used to join buy everything, courses, books, etc. And it was because of what I thought it would make me feel if I did the thing. But we have to do the work. It is internal work. External purchases will not fix what is going on the inside of me physically and mentally. That's so true.
Yep.
So true. But thank you so much for, asking your question and for telling us your story. I know it's uncomfortable because you want to just come to these things and be like, win, 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 like everything's great. But I think it's important to have these real conversations for people as they're navigating this, that it's not a straight line. Healing is a process, and it takes us, yes, trusting the process, but finding that balance of really listening to our inner clarity of knowing what is going on, what is the message that we're receiving going forward.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having this. I was doing this kids pickleball thing for quite a few Saturdays, but it was always on my schedule, so I'm glad I was able to join you again.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime.
And I'm feeling better than I was a couple months ago, so things are moving in the right direction. But
good.
Some hard times, so still.
Yep. No, that's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. I appreciate you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. And then Andia, you wanted to talk to us about leptin resistance.
Well, not so much. I'm not super expert on that topic, and that's why I've signed up for the leptin resistant course with Sarah Kleiner. Her old handle was Carnivore Yogi. Just for those of you who don't know, she changed the name to Sarah Kleiner Wellness, and I'm very excited to do that. So basically, I just wanted to kind of like regroup with myself in my head a little bit. And when I was thinking about what I was going to share, like that's the main update. I'm just excited for that because I think what's going on is hormonal stuff. And for the leptin resistance thing, like for those of you who don't know, it's basically your fat isn't communicating with your brain properly. So the leptin is the hormone that does that pathway. There's probably a better way to say it, but that's basically it. And they say Sarah says before you're insulin resistant, you're leptin resistant. And I really think that I need to address my routine. And that means I have to change behaviors. And that means really overwhelming. So I am going to kind of just hop into this. I'm mentally prepared to do some of these changes, and I'm baby stepping myself there. I'm going to go through the whole course so I know what to expect. and kind of lay out a plan before I like start the 21 days or whatever. But basically what I wanted to share is what I've learned from being in different groups, testing out different things like Emily was referring to before, like experimenting with different foods and ways. And I think I was really stuck on calling myself something. Like I had to say, I'm a carnivore.
Oh,
I'm a
you wanted
keto
a label.
carnivore or whatever. And really, I just needed to find people. And this is my people. This is my group right here, where I come every Saturday. See you all. And one of the reasons I love this is because I think my real issue is I know I'm a grateful human in recovery. So I've struggled with addiction and I know I have a food addiction. So I have to be really careful on what I put in. It's carb wise because it can wake up my monster. But what I do feel like is that I don't need to be carnivore. I don't need to be keto. I don't need to be keto carnivore, blah, whatever the name. We're probably going to get more names in the future, different things people do. And I don't need to do any of that. What I needed to do is find community, which I did. And I know my body needs nutrient dense foods. Most of them are foods that are in the carnivore umbrella, if we want to like label it. But I also know that it's okay if I eat local foods that are nutrient dense, like microgreens from the farmer's market, things like that. It doesn't bother me. I do know from a long 4-year history of going off carnivore and back to the sad way of eating, the standard American diet, is that when I eat processed foods or too many carbs or even just natural sugar and go on a binge, I will be constipated the next day. I confuse my body. My body's like, wait a minute, we were eating like healthy stuff and things were going well. Why are we eating this now? And it would just like my body would tell me by blocking my system up, like, oh, we're not going to poop today now. That's what my body was telling me. That was my inner knowing, is that I know that way of eating I can't do. I can't eat processed foods. I can't eat the sad way. So I'm learning and experimenting now with different things that I'm bringing in. Like a couple months ago, me and my husband, we did the Fruit Loop, which is a drive that you can do in Oregon. Anyway, it's a bunch of vineyards and like farms, basically. So we visited the farms and we ate some local apples and I was fine. They didn't wake up my monster, luckily. And am I eating tons of apples? No, they were in season. The in-season food carries light code and my body read that. But if I were to go and eat a banana from Mexico where I don't live, or especially something from a different time zone, I know that would mess up my body. And that is what I'm learning. So it's not an excuse for my addiction to wake up and be like, oh, India, it's nutrient dense. But if it's nutrient dense from a different place, it's technically not in season for where I live. So it would then be off limits. But that is what I've gathered from all the learnings and all the groups I've been in and all the things. It's just, I need to eat nutrient dense food. I don't need to name it anything. And in the winter, I'm going to naturally be more carnivore because there's just not things growing there, winter stuff, I guess. But there's just not as much. So in the winter times, I know that I'll probably eat way more carnivore like. And then when other seasons hit, it will be different. But I'm very excited to do the leptin resistance course while I'm eating the way I know my body agrees with. I'm not a person who can do the extreme. And that's just what it is. And the big thing is I've accepted that, because when I don't accept things, I go back and that's what drives me bonkers. Right. So I just wanted to share my knowledge gains, I guess, with everyone. And I also have no expectations going in this leptin resistance thing. I used to go into things thinking, oh, this is going to be the answer. this carnivore group is going to be the answer to all my problems. And it's going to be good because I'm going to be diligent and do all the things right, like a good little carnivore soldier. And that's like, I was putting way too much pressure on the wrong things. So the expectations are premeditated resentments. And I know for me, I can't have resentments in my life. That leads me down bad paths. So yeah. And that's it.
Awesome. And the only title or label that you need is Andia. You're Andia. It doesn't matter what you eat, and what you, you know, are labeling yourself. You just are healing, you know. Thank you so much. And then if anybody does go to find that carnivore yogi or Sarah Kleiner wellness, you can use the code Emily and get 15% off. But I believe it's just going to be for a short amount of time. So go do that like today, if you want to be part of that course. Awesome. Thank you, Andia. And thank you guys so much. We are at time, but I just love having these conversations, and I'm so thankful for everyone that shows up every Saturday, and I will see you next Saturday. Thanks. Bye.